Give me a quick rebuttal
Okay.
to that Suzuki propaganda. He always talks about that.
Yes. Well, what you have to ask yourself is, how did human beings end up at the top of the food chain? Well, we have two evolutionary traits that you don't find in other animal species. The first is that we trade physical goods. So, you have other animal species that will trade services, let's say grooming for protection. But human beings, well, for a long time, we've been able to move large quantities of physical goods over long distances, over long geographical distances. The other ability that we have that you don't see in the rest of the animal kingdom is our capacity to innovate, to create new things. And how do we do that? Well, essentially by combining existing things in new ways. So when you have a problem, let's say at one point, well, people had ink, people had wood, and then other substances came along and they say, well, why don't we develop something different to write? And then you combine a typewriter with electronics, you get our modern computer, you get things like that. So the more things we have, the more we can invent. And so these two traits are really unique to human beings. And what we've been able to do is, for example, concentrate food production in the best locations in the world. So we produce a lot more food on a lot less land than in the past. And we keep coming up with substitute for things that exist. So unlike, let's say, animal species, if you have tigers, well, their number is absolutely limited by the number of prey. But humans can eat all sorts of things. So we developed agriculture, we expand our food supply, we were able to catch fishes in the sea. Then when that became problematic, we developed aquaculture. And one of the great things that humanity was able to do, and I think the key that environmentalists don't understand, is that over time we increasingly replace things that were produced on the surface of the planet, so let's say animal for food or for wool, growing plants for dyes, by things that came from underground. So products derived from coal, from petroleum, from natural gas. And the answer that people like Suzuki and Ehrlich are unable to see is that we have more stuff, not only because of the energy that we extract from under the ground rather than burning wood, for example, but also because things like plastic have replaced things like wood, ivory, and countless other materials. So because of our ability to trade things over long distances, to create new things, to develop substitute, and to replace things that came from the surface of the planet by resources that came from underground, we were able to increase our number, improve our health, and clean up our environment.
I tell you, Pierre, I wish I had you as a professor when I was in school, because you say things so clearly. You remind me of two other thinkers. One is Bjorn Lomborg,
yes.
Who's an environmentalist. He calls himself the skeptical environmentalist, and his main point is, what's the smartest, best way to fix things, not just panic? Yes. And do you know Alex Epstein?
Yes.
He's a pro-energy, pro-oil
yes.
activist who makes the moral case for fossil fuels. And you remind me of this is so important. That's an excerpt from my daily show, The Ezra Levant Show, weekdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Every day I do a monologue, interview a guest, and read my fan mail and my hate mail. To subscribe, go to therebel.media/shows.